Okay, so welcome to this preview video of the English Premier League, 30 match day 34, starting on the 23rd of April, or that weekend at least, 2022, and we're going to check out right away. We do it as we always do, with the assistance of this Betmaster Tool, of course, that you can try your to get your access to as well if you follow the link in the description, and I'm sure you will discover after a pretty short time that it's the best tool there is to compile you the prices. And apart from doing an excellent compilation based on the evaluation of the teams, which are based on the goals they score on average and concede on average, home and away, kept track of, and also updated regularly with every incoming result. And that makes it pretty good. And as I see here right now, that I didn't export it yet and I didn't fill it in. So because I have this extra method here applied that is based on the match statistics that are also kept track of inside the tool. And I'm exporting these, as you can see here, and I build an alternative method already to compile the prices for the matches based on those statistics. And usually they are not that far apart. Here it is a bit different, for example, but we can compare the rankings and stuff like that. And we can, because here's a different ranking, but it may not be that different. Manchester City are still on top. That is the ranking based on statistics and result, you can say, on top of that. But largely it's taking in the statistics. And also Manchester City, Liverpool are the top two, Chelsea clearly in third, Arsenal, Tottenham, Man United in this order, which is hard to determine really which it should be. But the top six are once again amongst each other, and West Ham still kept at bay, and Crystal Palace, Wolves, all the likes. That is a different level. And Leicester are the one exception, maybe in Everton, that we could talk about with some more tradition. Also, well, Southampton, Aston Villa. But, well, you see here, this is what it's ordered by. Norwich are the worst, Watford, and so on. And so actually starting from here, it is a different level. We can say, well, also you could, in another campaign, they could well get mixed up, while these six at the top are there for quite a long time. And we can compare this with the ranking here as well. Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, then it's different with Tottenham, Manchester United, Arsenal, kind of a different order, but still, and here they are a bit better than, more better than in the other ranking. But this will be translated into different figures maybe, for the expected goal expectancies for these matches, which are turned then with a simulation function that I developed already more than 30 years ago. It's translated into those probabilities, and the reciprocal of that is the true price, and that we can compare with market price. As soon as market is higher than our true price, computer suggests a bet, or the tool would, but keep in mind it's based on your settings, or in this case, if you follow me here, it's based on my settings. Of course, I have some certain experience with it, so I should have decent settings actually, but anyone that is deeper into a league, also especially with lineups and so on, they can all be very well reflected here or introduced into the tool with your individual adjustments to make the different figures, to squeeze out some different figures and maybe find some bets like that. What you can rely on is, as soon as you have those settings largely based on results and the order of those results, so with every incoming results it's being updated, the strength. So if a team lose a couple of games, they are going down. They start winning or getting good results, they are moving up the ranking, which is pretty standard. But that's something that's, all of this is kept automatically. Still, you can do some manual adjustments here or there if you wish to. Anyway, in the Arsenal-Man United match, we have a 250 true price here, and so computer would, or the tool would maybe suggest a bet on Manchester United or the draw or away win, but we would instantly stay away from this one because the statistical method would even suggest most likely a bet on Arsenal. So that would tell us that statistically Manchester United are really bad, and everyone would have noticed by now. Or no one likes really Manchester United, right? Here we have Leicester against Aston Villa, 230. Market says 274. You see here, but this is also turned around by the statistical method, where here it still gives some credit to Leicester for maybe an early evaluation. They didn't fulfill that. They had been playing worse all the time, while Aston Villa played pretty well. So the statistical method that is calculating all the stats in advance, so it's doing a calculation on the expected shots on target and corners and so on. It's doing all those predictions, and this is turned by a special algorithm into goal expectancies that we can compare here. And also, of course, you should have the prospect that I want to introduce this into the tool to make it really final, or to make it really perfect, the best tool there is on earth. And it is already, which I'm convinced of, but you may still be a bit skeptical and wait for very good results. In Manchester City, Watford, we can largely forget this one. Here the statistical method would even say Watford have a better chance. Of course, we have to keep in mind at this stage of the season, we always have to watch out for individual needs, more or less, which we can see here in the ranking. Of course, Manchester City are now behind after Liverpool saw off Manchester United on a Tuesday night, and Watford are actually, well, without real hope. 2 games more played already and 6 points behind. But I would just say then, no, why mess up with this one? We are not going to go for Watford, although we have some theoretical indication here on the draw with a 10. And maybe it's the day that Manchester City lose the title. Possible, but they will also have their focus. In the Norwich against Newcastle, it's also not such an exciting one, and maybe, well, here would be a slight indication maybe on Norwich 358, 336 also, and here it would actually quite well confirm that statistical method and the other method are agree on that, but Norwich are without hope, and Newcastle, of course, in a lot better shape recently, and no real indication here Draws would anyway be needless, useless at the moment. So we skip this one, of course. In the Brentford-Tottenham, 2.03 on Tottenham, says the tool. And here it would say 193. So we would instantly agree. 4.06, 3.57. 4.06, 3.57. So another very small indication on the draw, which wouldn't do much help, and for what would be good for Brentford, also for Tottenham. We don't like draws at the moment, I guess, but it's still competitive football. But it's only a marginal indication. Brighton against Southampton, very small edge to Brighton that I would see a bit bigger. Here computer says we could go for x2 actually. And this one we seriously have to check. Why would it think that Southampton are so good? Because recently Brighton, or all the campaign, Brighton actually impressed. And recently they won a couple of games that I also bet on here or proposed for you. Southampton also beat Arsenal, lost to Chelsea 0-6, that hurt. Draw here, 3 losses, Watford, Newcastle, Aston Villa. Doesn't look so good, the shape, but they also had a very bad part here. 40 points, 39 points. What did I expect here? 38.19, 36.9. They are a bit better. They are a bit better. Both of them very close, also with the goals scored and conceded is close to what I expected. A couple less here as well. It's actually not a real problem. What I think here is what the computer takes care of and has a look at is home record. And here we see they only scored 10 goals at home, which then would, although Southampton are defensively on the road are pretty bad, conceding 32 instead of 29.6. But as in this case, also the statistical method here says no, very small edge only to Brighton. Just 3 home wins, 10 goals scored. So I understand the computer. Of course, you can still make up your mind yourself, but I had to select this one for the minus 0.5, 1.71. So I lay a price of not even 240 on Brighton, which is then clearly less than I can afford to pay according to the computer. And we can, of course, here check as well the double chance, just to show you computer is doing all the work for you. True price is 152 and we get a 171 on the double chance x2, which is shown here. So the computer does all this compilation for you if you have any doubts. I mean, about how to transform these prices, how much you lay, and if you play x2 and so on, the reciprocal price and so on. So we have one bet actually in Southampton, which doesn't sound so perfect with Brighton with these good results recently. But we have confirmation somehow that Brighton actually at home are not the fearful side, and also that the statistical method more or less confirms that it's not just the results, but also probably the efforts. In Burnley Wolves, of course, an edge to Wolves, whereby, of course, Burnley are they still in this serious trouble? I mean, we can check out anywhere those tables, what they need and how far. Yeah, they are an urgent need, of course. They still have a chance. And Wolves actually 8th place. Maybe there is a chance in something with this 7th place for the international starting places. But anyway, we compare it with the market for sure. If market has some idea, or we have a different view on this one. Burnley Wolves, well, very small edge, 285, 3.11, 285, 3 points. So it says a draw maybe. Well, another one, such silly bet on a draw. I mean, it's not. Well, why would Wolves? They don't need a draw. They don't want a draw. For Burnley, it's also time to make sure to collect 3 points. Also, so it's not any help for either one. So we should, in this case, just forget about it. That would be my conclusion. And of course, I understand that anyone who starts to doubt, he says, well, why do I need this tool? So if you have an indication, you're not even gonna bet. I mean, this indication on the draw is based on the few goals scored and so on, and goals conceded. Partly, we can of course also check here. Oh, did I open it already? How many draws did they have? They had 13 draws instead of 8.56, what I expected. So they are a very drawish side, whereby Wolves are the opposite. 4 draws just instead of 9.81. So they don't really go for draws, which they didn't most recently, but at West Ham they were maybe even happy, but they had recently 1 draw. But Wolves are not at all going for that. But it's based on the goals. That's what I wanted to show. And if there are 26-45, that's less than expected in both areas, and they are also the drawing side. And here it's 33-28. So the computer would then say no draws or no goals, so more likely to end in a draw. And as it seems, they quite often win by 1 goal, 1-0, and lose 1-0 as well, because they have a record of 15 wins, 4 draws, 13 losses, which makes it obvious that they are not steering for towards these draws. Anyway, that may be by some coincidence, or it's because they're playing style or something like that. But it would be hard to find a style. I mean, if they are a goal down, they would be happy to score 1 to equalize. If they are a goal ahead, of course they try to bring this over the finishing line, but the opponent has the different view. They try to equalize. So it wouldn't make much sense that it just doesn't happen. So if there are fewer goals, it should be more likely to end in a draw. Chelsea, we have 153, 434. We can check it here as well. There won't be a bet really, whereby once again, very kind of a draw indication that I would instantly ignore, because West Ham, if there's a chance, they need wins. Of course, it's hard to win at Chelsea, and maybe it's just a very regular game, but still it's a marginal indication, and I wouldn't really propose this one. Liverpool 120, well, what else should it be? But here it would even say, well, you can try. I mean, why not? But for the derby character and Liverpool in urgent need, we can say it is a different game, right? Because it's the Merseyside-Derby, and maybe by tradition it's not such a big margin between them, but 120, that is already as big as can get. And of course, for the sake of having a bet here, and also telling you that's not always the favorites, that it's you can't go for, it happens still. And in this one, of course, you maybe say the reason is it is a derby, so it is special. But 120, where would be the derby character in those 120? Computer says it is a bet. Crystal Palace 199. They had a very excellent campaign. Here it tells us you could try, and here it would confirm more or less. It's more or less the same evaluation. So we would have a third one, and I may consider, because, well, as we saw, not just an excellent run, excellent record, excellent stats, and Leeds maybe out of the worst, out of the woods, as you would say. Or they aren't. 33, well, okay, 32 games. Well, not clearly, but then you could still say Crystal Palace aren't either, or trying to, yeah, they can go up the table. Well, I think it would be a regular game of football, and so computer says here, and I'm going to confirm it. So that would be my predictions, and I'm going to save this here so you can check out my profile, and I'm going to leave you with this 3 bets here, and I think I worked it out quite well. And check out the tool yourself, and then you would have all day and night. You have the chance to work with this tool, and slowly but surely you will get your own settings, understand it better and better, know where to adjust and where you should rather let the computer go, because usually it's doing a good job. And then if you have an indication, you still should be careful and watch out what could be the reasons. But that's all up to you then, and ride your own luck and so on. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.